Hey guys, welcome back to another video. And actually like the third video in a week. Kinda crazy. Consistent uploads for once. We'll see how long that lasts. This is the MiG21bis. Everyone knows the MiG21bis. It's the most controversial plane probably in jets besides what used to be the Harrier. You know that whole story. But the MiG-21 is often regarded as the best plane in the game. A lot of people would go as far as to say that it's overpowered. You probably know my opinion on that by now. I've posted like 2 different videos on the Phantom versus MiG-21 kind of comparison. I think the Phantom is a better aircraft. For those that don't know, it's not a better aircraft per se, but it's a better killing platform in the sense that it has everything that it needs in the top tier meta to win games, I guess, in a team environment, 10 versus 10 battles in War Thunder. It's kind of the meta aircraft in my opinion. But we're not talking about that this video. This video is about the specific MiG-21 gameplay on screen right now. And I'm going to be talking about some of the tactics that I use when flying MiG-21 and talking about the gameplay specifically as it goes on, because there's a lot to talk about in this gameplay, a lot I can break down, things I do right, things I do wrong, stuff like that. So starting off, I take maximum fuel in the MiG-21, and that's just because it burns fuel so fast on Afterburner that by the time you actually get in combat, you're going to have probably, I don't know, it depends on how high you climb, but I'd say about 25 minutes on full tank. Well, that's a little low. But you're going to have somewhere in the high 20s by the time you get in combat, and then after about 2 minutes of fighting, you're going to be all the way down to like just over 20 minutes, which is about the performance I'm used to in afterburning jets. So it's kind of a nice, what would you call it, fail-safe to have maximum fuel, because this gameplay is going to show you I end up running out of fuel a lot in top tier, and I don't want to lose the game because my fuel is out and I feel like I've been cheated out of victory because I think I could have killed the guy if I had a little more fuel, stuff like that. So yeah, that's why I take maximum fuel. I know a lot of people don't, but I don't really, I'm not too big of a performance guy on jets, if you haven't noticed, so I don't really care that it's a little bit more sluggish. It still performs fine, but oftentimes when you see me flying any of the MiGs, I start at low altitude and go vertical. Now, yes, altitude matters at top tier. That's the short answer. The long answer is no, altitude does not matter at top tier. It just depends on what kind of aircraft you're flying. The F4 Phantom, for example, definitely a high altitude plane. You want to bring it up to where the radar can see everything. You can launch sparrows, stuff like that. It's not particularly powerful in compared to the MiG-21's engine, so it's nice to be able to dive on people, stuff like that. But in an aircraft like the MiG-21, you can launch yourself vertically on afterburner and put yourself right up to phantom altitude in a couple seconds. You really don't lose much by not climbing, and you gain a whole lot by the spotting system not showing you as easily. And that's a big thing. The spotting system will keep you hidden at low altitude, and you can often vertically climb at phantoms up at altitude that don't see you, launch a missile from below them, and it's almost a guaranteed kill. Right there you saw me team kill someone. I tried to warn him that the missile was coming, though it was entirely my fault, obviously. I should not have launched that missile. Terrible launch. And I get a team kill for it, which really sucks. I feel pretty bad about that. Whenever there's friendlies around an enemy, you really don't want to launch the missile. I've said that in previous videos, but I'm not perfect. It was a very unfortunate accident, but yeah, whatever. So right now I'm just outside of the furball of the fight that's kind of happening over there, and I've got this Mirage right here. Now you see me pre-flaring a lot, just because I think it's better to keep a missile from being launched at you than it is to have to dodge the missile when it's already coming at you. So I pre-flare just to make sure that the missile doesn't get launched at me in the first place, especially with an aircraft like the Mirage and the Harrier GR1. Those have some very deadly IR missiles. You really don't want those things flying at you, even if you have flares. But I was turn fighting that Mirage a little. I ducked out of it just because I realized how close that furball was getting to me. And now I'm right in the middle of it. Very low speed. I've got these planes all around me trying to kill me right now. I'm just picking off what I can, or at least trying to anyways. That F4 is flying directly the other direction from me. Doesn't really notice me till the last second. He starts dropping flares, but he drops his flares in a straight line, so the missile just tracks the flares, and then once it goes through all the flares, tracks him. I might make a video on how to properly evade missiles, because it seems like a lot of people at top tier don't know. It's actually pretty easy, and you can consistently flare away most all missiles in the game. The AIM-9Js and Magics are a little trickier, but I mean, it's not that difficult, guys. You really just gotta deploy your flares properly and fly your plane in accordance to how you drop the flares. But this is the part of the gameplay that gets really interesting, because you can see I'm like 1 versus 4 right now. I might even be 1 versus 5, not exactly sure. I'm not sure if there's a enemy plane at their base already, but I'm just running away because that's all I can do. I've got 1 R60 on me right now, and a lot of cannon ammo, but I mean, 4 enemy aircraft. I'm kind of worried right now, understandably. It's a Harrier, F4C, F4E, and a T2. Now, I'm getting radar locked right now, but I don't see any radar missiles coming out, so I'm not taking any kind of evasive. I'm assuming they're just either trying to scare me, or it's the T2 who is pretty much always locking onto people anyways, because that radar guided sight. But right here they make a critical error, in my opinion. They break off, and what that allows me to do is now I can take the offensive, which you do not want to let a single guy do when you have the number advantage. Now granted, this T2 comes back and doubles around for a head-on pass. I take the head-on just because you want to be very aggressive when you're at a disadvantage in numbers. I'm 1 versus 4 here. I have to take very high-risk, aggressive plays if I want any chance of winning this. Now, no shots came to either aircraft in that head-on, so the F4E I noticed was breaking off and going back toward base, or so it looked like, so I took the 1 versus 1 with the T2 because I'll win that 1 versus 1 every single time, but now the F4 is coming back, and that makes it a little trickier. So as I said, when you're down in numbers, you gotta take a very high risk and aggressive plays, so I kind of commit to a head-on right there. The F4 doesn't, however, though, and that's the only reason I don't die. He could have very easily just decided to trade with me, and I was going to be okay with that. At this point, I was pretty much just accepting that I lost anyways, and I was just trying to get a couple more kills out of it, so I didn't really mind committing to the head-on. But now, since both of them are trailing me once again, I'm pushed back into the defensive. But as I keep saying over and over again, I can't stress this enough, when you're down in numbers, you have to be very aggressive. So I'm flying to the other group of planes to try to thin out some numbers so I can take the offensive and the initiative to these guys versus trying to fight the ones that are already on my 6. At this point, I know I've put some pretty good distance between the 2 aircraft behind me, and I also know that they don't have any missiles because they would have launched them by now when they were chasing me earlier. So launch a missile right here on that F4C. He ends up noticing it, I'm pretty sure, and he dodges it. So props to him for dodging an R60 and F4C at low altitude and no speed. Don't know how he did it, but maybe my launch was just too far range. I'm not really sure exactly. Since it missed, I'm circling back around, get a dive on this F4 again. That was my last R60, so now I have to kill all 4 of these guys with gunshots, and the MiG21's guns are absolutely terrible, especially for top tier standards. So I'm going to do my best. I slot onto the 6 of the F4C right here. He's flying critically slow, not sure why he's so slow. I know he was killing AI before, but I mean still. I get some pretty easy shots into the tail of that F4, blow him up, set him on fire. And the T2 and the F4E are still on me, so I'm taking some evasive maneuvers. The Harrier I have not seen in a while, so I just assumed he's gone back to base. Now looking at my fuel, I do not have that much fuel left, especially if I'm running afterburner. So what I do is I cut the afterburner and I start flying back toward the direction of my base. Now at this point, I pretty much realize I'm gonna lose this. There's really no foreseeable way of winning considering my fuel, on top of the fact that I have no missiles and they're still chasing me. So, at least one of them is. I think the T2 actually goes back to base at this point. Or, yeah, something like that. So, now my odds have gone up a little bit, but still not very high because this F4E seems very adamant, I'll say, on taking me out, which of course is understandable. I'm the last guy. Kind of wasting everyone's time. Except not really, because I'm trying to fight. I'm really doing my best. Um, if I get close enough to the base, what I'm going to do is I'm going to shoot up vertical right here in a couple seconds, and I'm going to go for altitude. Now I go for altitude because not only is there clouds up there, and I planned on losing them in the clouds, but with altitude I'll be able to glide around for a little while and maybe avoid one of his shots. I might be able to get enough airspeed built up in a dive to be able to dodge him one time, which might be all I need if I'm just trying to, keep him in range of the anti-aircraft guns and whatnot. But as a last ditch effort, I throw the afterburner on right here and I go for a little dogfight. I get a critical hit on him. I was really cursing myself there. I wish I would have killed him. But my shots were just a little low and I end up sawing through his wingtip, which I mean it's fine, it's better than nothing. I could have just not hit him at all there and I'd have big problems. But he kind of looks like he's going back to base here, but the fact that I'm not following him right now and also turning back to base because I have no choice due to my fuel makes him realize that I probably am out of fuel, otherwise I'd be chasing him right now. So he doubles back around and he's chasing me once again. So I keep the afterburner on, and this is when I climb up into the clouds hoping I'll lose him here. Now my fuel is pretty much out at this point. Actually, I think it's at 0. So I'm just gliding around, and I'm going to glide with enough airspeed that I have over my runway so that by the time he gets back to the runway, he doesn't see me trying to land or anything like that. So I'm hoping to fool him here into thinking that no, I'm not landing, I just went for altitude. So I'm gliding over the airfield for as long as I possibly can, milking out every mile per hour of airspeed that I have to spare and staying at as much altitude as I can. You can see I've ran out of cloud cover at this point, but I'm hoping that he's just not following me through the clouds and he's still not going to see me because the clouds are above him and quite a distance still. Right there I can see an aircraft that's pretty much taken off at this point. He looks pretty far away, and I still don't have sight of that F4E. I only see that Harrier right there because the AI that are there spotting him for me. At this point I decided I really can't get too much further away from the airfield without risking not being able to land, and it's at this point that the F4 is finally spotted. It looks like he was about to give up on me being there, and he eventually does give up actually and starts flying back to base. I guess it's because he's already damaged and doesn't want to risk the AA, which is understandable. AA is actually, I mean, granted it's not that strong at top tier, it can still do some damage to you, especially if you've already been damaged. You really can't risk taking any more. So he's bugging off back to his airfield. I get to land thanks to my parachute and my upgraded crew. I think I might even have an aced crew, I'm not sure. I played a lot of MiG21 games. But I actually am able to repair and reload in great time, which is perfect because this Harrier decides it's time for me to die, and he's coming in for a strafing run. I'm actually going to be able to get myself back and ready to go before he gets here, and what am I going to do? I'm going to leave the vehicle, also known as Jane, out. Now this is controversial, I guess, because I could just roll over and die right here. I'm really just trying to win at this point. I've come this far. I really don't want to accept getting strafed on the airfield. So I've dodged one of his strafing runs by leaving the aircraft, and it looks like he's coming around for his second one. So I don't take off. I was going to. I figured maybe I'd have just enough time to get up in time because the MiG accelerates extremely fast. I don't need a lot of distance to get speed and dodge him, but there he is going in for a second strafing run, and he actually just full-on commits and ends up crashing his plane. Not sure if it's because he doesn't know how strafing works on the runway. You can't actually destroy someone's aircraft if they've already left it. Yeah, the model of the plane will still be on the runway, 'cause it's just not going to do any damage. If they want to spawn back in it, they'll spawn in a completely fresh plane, and the damage you did to that aircraft model on the runway is going to be nullified. So he kind of died in vain right there, but maybe he just didn't know any better, I don't know. Regardless, I'm still alive, and I still have 2 more aircraft to take down. The F4, which is now at base by now, most likely, or at least close to it, and the T2 is finally back after his return to base not too long ago. So Thankfully, I've built up just enough speed to be able to dodge his shots, and now I have 6 R60 missiles to spam at him while I'm on his tail. There's pretty much nothing this guy's gonna be able to do. A fully loaded MiG-21, maximum fuel, maximum ammo, maximum missiles. 1 versus 1, this guy has no teammates around, he may as well just give up, and I think that's actually exactly what he plans on doing. He's just running away at this point. But I'm in a MiG21bis, so he can't run for that long. I will eventually start catching him, and I think I am right here. The window's really small, so excuse me if I'm not. But regardless, at any altitude, I'll pretty much outrun a T2. And especially since we're closing the map border, he's going to either have to go vertical, or he's just going to fly straight through it. If he flies straight through it, it'll put him in at low speed, and that'll make it very easy to catch him. And there you go. The F4E, EJ, not really sure which one. But it crashed. I'm assuming that it crashed on landing, but I'm not really sure. It would have had to be before it landed. Maybe he just didn't even have enough engine power to make it back to base. Regardless, the T2 I guess gives up because he throws his plane right into the ground. He may have been trying to dodge the missiles, and that's why he crashed. But regardless, that's a pretty insane clutch win for the MiG21bis. It definitely is one of, if not the best plane in the game. I think it's the second best plane in the game. But either way, it definitely has the potential to pull a game like that. Maybe, I mean, it's obviously not easy because any 1 versus blank situation is going to be difficult. But of the planes that have that potential, I'd say the F4E and the MiG-21 have the highest just because of their loadouts and armament and stuff like that. But that's going to do it for the video. I hope I keep up with the schedule. I've been putting out a lot of videos. I've been enjoying it. So we'll see how it goes. If you guys enjoyed the video, I hope you learned something from the video. I hope I'll see you in the next one. See ya.